And then did you see that there was a newspaper article from like the 70s or something? Where
No, it was the 30s.
The 30s. They found like a body inside like a barrel, but it had like a wristwatch or a cell phone.
Yes,
and they
I
were
did
like,
hear about
No, it was just a square device that they didn't recognize.
Yeah. So they're saying it's him. Something messed up the canister or whatever as it was moving through time, slipped, and then it like crushed him. And so then they found him unaware of like what any of that stuff was.
Plus, I mean, well, the Y-Files guy, what's AJ or whatever, said that wasn't true.
That whole story wasn't true?
The
30s
the
thing.
30s thing wasn't true.
Oh,
he says it was true. He was on Art Bell. All the things he said were, and he wasn't sought out. Like, you know how he kind of debunks him at the end a little bit? Like, he debunked a few parts of it, but he's like, it is weird that he did this stuff, didn't seek out Art Bell. Art Bell heard about it.
Yeah.
They literally funded a project for years, and that everyone who funded the project, like an open, like you know how like on what's the thing where you can fund it on
GoFundMe?
like on GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Like you were just invited to come and watch. So apparently 20s, 30 people came and like watched him literally transport like gerbils and stuff in this machine, and then they would show up west or east depending.
That's so nuts.
And so like either they're all lying,
Yeah.
which is possible, but
Or he's tapped into something. There
Yeah.
was those YouTube videos
Well,
where
then
that guy created like that hole in his apartment, like his bedroom, with like doing sound and frequency. And you see it just show up, and it's little, and then it like starts getting bigger, and he plays the noise louder and the frequency louder, and then it like starts growing, and then you can like see through. It's like some sort of beach somewhere, and like
we'll have to see that.
yeah.
Well, I will say this:
Yeah, it's
the physicists were like, even when he was messing around with his like prototype, like that is kind of how it works, because what essentially he was doing was creating electromagnetism and then spinning it. Well, a lot of the theories are that like the way you could travel through time is that you take space-time and then you put a heavy object in it, like a black hole. And it's so massive that it pulls, you know, you've seen the like or the rubber sheet thing, and you put a thing in it, it kind of bends, and then you bend it so far that it goes through to another one, right? And they're saying that, well, if you put enough power in electromagnet, the electromagnetism, it isn't heavy, but it fluctuates space-time a similar way.
Yeah.
And apparently the second time when he got all of Art Bell's listeners, coast to coast,
Sick.
love it. And when he got all his listeners, it was like 700 trillion watts or some crazy, because he had tons of transformers hooked up to it.
Yeah.
Which, it's a pretty cool story because it's really well documented. A lot of real science was being used, and
dude, that's wild.
And now he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's like the Nazi bell theory that they were.
Yeah, they
like,
brought that up. They said that was electromagnetism.
Yeah.
With mercury or
so
something.
So he
right?
was doing something, because you look in like these ancient civilizations, like in, I think, China or Japan, one of those countries, like one of their leaders was buried like in a sea of mercury, like all around him. And they said that you can use mercury with magnetism, and it somehow like does something. I don't know the science behind it.
Torsion is what this one they talk about.
But the Nazi bell would do that.
Yeah.
And that they got it working somehow. And so when like Admiral Byrd went up to like Antarctica, because they heard that Nazis were up there, it was one craft that looked like a disc that had the Nazi like whatever swastika carved on it, and it was just like, because you think of like gravity's like a stream, and you're wanting to go up the stream, and you're trying to light a rocket under the water. You'd have to have fins and everything on it so that you could steer it. Where if you could put some sort of like corkscrew thing on the top of it, you could get it to spin at the same speed of the river, and now you can just effortlessly like move through the river. So if gravity's something like that you can tap into, then you could just like zip up the river without like using rockets.
Which makes sense, because like all the like the TikTok or Tic Tac video, Just watching too much TikTok.
Yeah.
That Tic Tac video is probably on TikTok. So.
Yeah, that's where I
Tic
saw it.
Tac on TikTok.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But no, they the video that they have it, they're looking at with thermal cameras, and then it's like around the craft is like this bubble, and it's like freezing cold around the craft, but the craft itself is like warm, and it's like, you know, which leads into the whole like theory of like, well, whatever they're doing around the craft is manipulating space and gravity around it, allowing it to, you know, make these, you know, 80-degree turns and 90-degree turns like at Mach 5, which if you think about the G-force would kill a human being inside of it. But if there's no gravity, like they're manipulating the gravity around the craft.
Well, if the craft's like maybe holding still, and then the universe is moving around the craft, or maybe I don't know.
I can't even ride the Disneyland ride
you know what I mean?
without getting nauseous.
The teacups.
Could you imagine like being a pilot and doing? Because they say you like put your hand on it, and then the craft kind of becomes a part of you, and so you like think, and it moves back and forth that way. So you think the pilot's like has his hand on the steering wheel. It's not like the freaking dashboard. And you're like zipping around Paris to Egypt. Like, I would get so nauseous. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Well, and that's the thing is that's why they're saying that like in these like what video?
Because your brain would tell you that there should be gravity. Like if I zip somewhere and stop, my brain is like,
ooh, prepare for it.
You're gonna have to like lean. So I wonder how much, if all this stuff is real, which it is, like how much goes into like being able to actually pilot it and zip around. Tom DeLonge has 2 books on it.
Well, it's like the
espionage stuff with crafts.
Yeah, like the replicated vehicles and stuff that they talk about, which are like I don't know if I have a picture of it on the one on the wall where it's like the disc with like the ball on top of the windows. That's like the replicated vehicles that we have, that we got from like the Roswell crash and all that. And in that, some of the people that said they saw them and like saw inside of them and all these things, they were talking about how inside it had like all the mercury stuff and like, you know, different, you know, stuff that's way too scientific for me to be able to explain. But inside the craft was like a seat, but the seat didn't even have like a seat belt. It just had like the little ball or whatever that they would put their hand on or whatever and manipulate the craft. And so you think about that, like you've got these Tic Tac videos and other crafts that are going literally from, you know, in the air to underground and not losing speed and not causing massive. I mean, you've seen like videos of planes hitting water. It's like hitting concrete.
Yeah.
And so there's something going on there with the gravity.
Well, theoretically, but like also you hear reports that they're going through air and then they just go into the water.
Yeah, same speed,
down.
nothing.
Yeah, but if you had like an orb around the craft that doesn't come into contact with gravity, it wouldn't affect anything it runs into. That's freaking wild.
And that's where it's like, if we lived in a simulation and everything's just computer code, if you can somehow hack into the code, then
you do anything you want.
You do anything you want.
Can I lose weight and just like eat ice cream all day? That'd be dope.
That's your number one choice. I like that, Daniel.
I love ice cream.
You could fly. You could do.
But milk doesn't set well with me.
I want to eat hot fudge sundae every night.
Every night.
Yeah, dude. Pound like 15 of these and not have to worry about my heart exploding or anything like that, because I love the taste of energy drinks. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I want to like enjoy life and not have to like you know.
Basically almost already arrived if that's where you're. That means that.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm at the precipice.
A wise man once said. Write this down.
Hold on.
He who is happiest does not have the most. Wait, no, I'm screwing this up.
That's all right. You can look it up. This seems like it should be a good
quote. I'm going into my data banks. Oh,
okay.
Happiness comes from not having the most. It's from being happiest with the least.
See, that's all I want. It's just some ice cream.
Yeah, just some ice cream, some energy drinks. Daniel's good.
Yeah.
Well, once I figure out the whole, you know, ice cream thing, next thing you know, dude, I'm being like Tibet in a temple, bald, hovering off the ground, like.
Yeah, eating a hot fudge sundae.
Yeah, from McDonald's, I DoorDash it to Tibet.
The DoorDash guy's walking up all those stairs.
Yeah.
He's just like, mother.
He's like, and you picked the lowest tip option?
Yeah.
Really?
You're like, Timmy,
I'm like,
$1.25.
bag on this thing.
Less is more.
There's no cell service up there. So
I'm trying to
take a
teach you.
picture.
I'm trying to teach you an eternal truth, Fielding.
I'm just like, come on, bro.
You freaking messed up.
$1.25.
Yeah.
So
pretty
funny.
awesome.
We've developed several ciphers.
Murdered in Dallas, Texas. He was shot by a sniper hiding in a building near his.
Holy fuck!
A bizarre flash occurs, and the plane has vanished. Upon
The WEF is an organization.
Fly away, Houston. Vector good. Bye-bye, fly.
Welcome back to Connect the Dots. Excited to have everybody back again. We've got my main man Travis and Fielding on his frequency, drinking his what is that? You drink the same thing every time.
Mercury.
It's Mercury. Yeah.
Slowly getting a tolerance
Yeah.
to it.
Well, I come from a planet that water's bad for you, as I said last time.
Yeah.
True.
And so it's a little bit of lemonade,
Okay.
water mixed in,
Okay.
honey to counteract the water,
Right.
and then some tea bags. And I mix it all together.
What type of tea?
It's basically a knockoff of the Starbucks medicine ball, if you've had that. So it's like,
It's like an herbal tea. Then?
yeah, so it's like a peach tea and like a mint tea. And then you
Oh,
have
nice.
lemonade and water. It's really good.
Cool, man.
I just thought he was like hoity-toity. Comes
Oh,
in
he's-
here with his like, I mean, I'm like already almost polished this off.
He's super hoity-toity.
Yeah.
And he doesn't prepare, or he doesn't let anybody else prepare his food.
That's true. Yeah.
So he's
Except
making his,
McDonald's.
Yeah. Well, I take it home and air fry it.
Oh.
That's literally what happens when
Is that-
we finish here. I drive home. Well, I don't drive home. I go to McDonald's. Get the number one. No pickles, no onions. Large.
Is that the
Big
what
Mac.
is that?
Big Mac.
That's the Big Mac. Okay.
Take it home. Put the fries in.
Yeah.
Air fry it 400 3 minutes. Spray a little on it. Shake the fries up. Put it in. Cook the fries for about.
Do you mean you spray more oil on the fries?
Yeah. So my wife says I've ruined like she's like, you just are basically eating like chips. You turn your French fries into chips because there's nothing inside them,
And they're like crunchy.
but they're delicious. So cook it for a minute, then you take the middle of the Big Mac out, put the bun with the meat up, and then the other side bun, meat up.
In the air fryer.
Yep, a little more.
You spray on
A little
it.
more Pam. Cook it for another 2 minutes, and then it comes out, the cheese all melty and hot. Put the center back in, close it,
Okay.
so then it just like stays in its little warm condensed area. And then, the French fries are perfect. The Sprite giveth.
he took the fast out of fast food.
Wow.
Yeah. You want to go next level?
Oh.
You get pizza,
Okay.
put pizza in the air fryer, spray it with a
You
little...
spray it with Pam?
Yeah, and then you
What does
cook
the
it.
Pam do?
It basically then creates a shell on top of whatever you're eating of deliciousness. So you take a pepperoni pizza, which is already delicious,
Yeah.
and then you take that cheese that's on top, is now like a little kind of like a crunchy shell.
I mean,
Oh, it's so good.
I have air fried pizza and it is awesome.
Yeah.
but I haven't sprayed it.
I didn't use my air fryer.
It reminds me of that.
rid
There
of
was
it.
Once
that
you
one.
start doing that, you don't
It
even.
reminds me of that one talk show host. I don't know if you guys remember this, but she came out with this like hack where she's like one of her snacks that she loved, and she is this pretty funny black lady. I can't remember her name, but she comes out and she's like, "Oh, if you want a good treat," she pulls out a Slim Jim and a lighter, and she's like, "Yeah, you just gotta warm it up." And she's like, on the air, like our audience, she's just like running this lighter
On her Slim Jim.
Slim Jim, and then she just freaking starts eating it, and she got roasted for that. But who knows,
That
man?
seems like a crack.
I know.
Crackhead move to like heat up a Slim Jim with a lighter, but hey, look,
Fielding doesn't judge.
that's how I keep my weight down.
The Pam
eat
insulates
only-
the calories.
Dude,
eat
he
only
might be onto something because
crisp air fried food.
Dude, he might be onto something. So there's this guy. I think you guys know him, Adam, that worked where we used to work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
worked at corporate, and he always wore the 3-piece suit from like the 1950s.
Yeah.
Anyways, I worked with him for many years.
Yeah.
And no joke, he literally lived off of pineapple Fanta.
Okay.
He would buy it. Yeah.
Solid move.
Yeah.
Fanta.
Yellow. He would, Monster pink. Anyways, he would get it in the 2-liter. Okay. And he would put it at home. He'd put it in the fridge, cool it. And he would bring the 2-liter with him to work. And as he was working, he'd be like, and by the end of the day, that thing was gone. Okay. And then
So instead of nursing like a Red Bull or a soda,
he nursed a 2-liter.
nursing a 2-liter.
And then he would have like,
He was so thin.
and he would have steak.
something to it.
I'm not joking, steak almost every night. And they'd be like, what did you have with your steak? He's like, steak. And like it wasn't like
Man's man.
a steak, potatoes, and some vegetables. It was just steak. And then he would eat a buttload of candy.
He's single.
Oh, candy.
No, he's married and he's got like 4 kids.
Yeah, candy's also a part of the diet.
Candy is part of the diet with
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know how he does it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I had my friend Samson. You guys know him. He's your friend as well.
He's a good-looking cat.
Told me once.
all right.
He's like, you know what I do to stay in shape? I always drink a lot of water and I stretch.
Dude,
And I'm like,
he told me
you're
that
also
like every day.
21, dude.
You get out of town. Your metabolism's still working.
Yeah.
I remember when
He's like, you just got to stretch. Drink more
I'd,
water.
I'd come into work and be like, did you drink a glass of water this morning? I'm like, no. Did you stretch? I'm like, no. Well,
Yeah.
if you want to be fit, you
He
got to
was so
drink water
judgy
and
about it.
stretch. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh, he's young.
get your beautiful hair out of here.
Yeah,
That's
you
when
and
you're
your
allowed to
handsome
judge.
face and your
Yep.
Beautiful
gorgeous
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of here.
You know, show me those photos of like his cool like soccer moves.
He's like, here I am, like doing a Pele kick. But
Yeah.
now they call it the Samson kick.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's like, I left my job for 3 weeks to play in a European league.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm like,
Get out of here.
we make fun of him, but dude, homeboy got an invite
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
try out for a
Yeah.
professional soccer team, and
Yeah.
not in like America
It's Spain. España.
and Espan. No,
Spain.
España.
I think it's just
Spain.
España.
I think you call it España. In,
Hispania.
He'll
Okay.
correct us.
Yeah,
That's if he even watches our show.
he freaking better.
What a tool if he
Freaking
doesn't.
better, dude.
I don't think he does, guys.
It's
Well,
devastating.
He's not
to hear.
cool. He
Yeah.
can't handle it.
people with that good looking of a face
He's like,
and that great of hair.
Yeah. He doesn't want to think that's part of the freaking Matrix, dude.
Yeah.
He wants to
Yeah.
think he just is better.
He doesn't.
It's like
It's just 100% me.
me. Natural.
Natural.
Who was that guy that talked about stretching? I want to say David Goggins, but that might not be true. But he talks about like stretching is one of the first things that you do, and it's like you'll like sweat out toxins and
Well,
stuff.
David Goggins didn't necessarily like. He wasn't a proponent. He was dying from how bad he treated his body, and couldn't went to the doctor.
So
They
he
couldn't
might
figure
be
it
who
out.
I'm thinking of.
Maybe that's the story. And he went to some guy, and the guy's like, "You've got to start stretching."
Yeah.
So then he went David Goggins style with
Right,
it.
right.
Like quit everything else.
And just stretched.
I guess the
Stretch for
the
like
first-
7 days straight.
Well, I think his first
No sleep.
session was 12 hours. He did 12 hours of like
That's
stretching.
stretching.
And yeah, he got kind of sick.
Yeah.
And because he had all these just imagine his gnarled body from those races and stuff, and little knots of stuff would, I guess, release, and all the toxins that his body was like, well, you don't have any fat, and so we can't put it there, and so it's just like storing up all this stuff. And but then slowly he just started like not feeling like he was dying.
Yeah.
You have to hear him tell it because it's.
I don't want to know that Samson was right. That sucks.
I know.
I'm gonna have to.
When you were
I'm gonna have
first
to drink
clowning him, I
some
was thinking
water.
about that. I was like,
I have to drink some water and stretch now.
Yeah.
Might be honest.
David Goggins can tell me, but I'm not going to listen to Samson.
Yeah.
Stretching and eating candy.
So I think that might be the one you're talking about. I don't know.
That sounds right. That because I just remember he was doing a bunch of stretching and then he got sick, and in my head that made sense. But yeah, you're stretching, so you're releasing stuff, and then your body's gonna process it, and so you get sick. I like it.
Have you guys? This is one of my biggest pet peeves. Have you guys ever I don't know, got a flashlight or an Xbox controller or a TV remote or something, and you go to use it and it's dead, and you're like, oh, I got to replace batteries, and you just maybe a month ago bought 24 AAAs or double A's, and you have a place where you stash them, and then you go over there.
It's called the fire alarm. You stash the extra
Store
batteries.
in there.
Oh crap! I got to play Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Priorities.
And then you
The
go
smoke is its own form of alarm.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I
you
can already
see
smell
smoke,
it.
you'll be like, oh yeah, the fire.
That's a good point.
All right, sorry.
That's a good point. But then you go to the drawer where the batteries should be, and you open it up, and there's none there.
I literally just dealt with this today and I bought the Kirkland Signature 48 pack.
For $4
Yeah.
at Costco. It's a great deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I even tried to go the route of rechargeables. Went on Amazon, bought some rechargeable batteries. Okay, rechargeable. We have a deep dive conversation at dinner about what rechargeable batteries are, what they look like, and what we do with them when they're dead.
I don't even like where this is going. As a dad, I'm just already cringing.
Yeah.
And then,
Because I'm assuming they're more expensive.
oh yeah, they're more expensive. I dropped $30-$40 on a charger and 20 batteries, right? And I'm thinking, this is gonna be fine. And then I put all the batteries in the little charger and I set it up by my TV, and I'm like, this is where we put them. This is where we take
Right
them
by
out.
the TV.
Yeah, it's easy.
Grab 'em, batteries
Easy, super
ready
easy.
to go.
Right. And so then I need a pair of double A's for the first time in months. And I go down to my charger, and what's there? Nothing. All my chargeable batteries are gone. I'm like, where do they all go? I ask my kids, and my kids are like, I don't know.
What do you mean rechargeable batteries?
Yeah. And I'm like, and then I go through this tirade of we're taking every battery out of everything. Xbox
'cause they
controllers,
gotta be
TV
somewhere.
remotes, toys, everything. And I'm trying to locate all of them. I find 4 out of the 20 I bought.
Yeah, they're in the
And where did they
landfill.
go? Yeah, they're in the dump somewhere at this point. And this brings me to a really important topic.
Okay, let's hear it.
That if only we had the ancient technology from I don't know, the Egyptian pyramids, which were essentially giant batteries.
Yeah.
Why can't I have that? I don't want a big one. I just want a mini one in my backyard. A little pyramid,
little baby pyramid.
better than solar.
Seems low maintenance.
They're like, what's Daniel doing over there? I don't know. He's just building a pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and maybe tall as my house. That'd be pretty cool. And then I have all these people. And you're like, where do you get all these
You're
people?
just vibrating the stones in place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And these little UFOs come and
It's legit.
Charger.
and they put that giant,
I'm with you on
that
this.
giant cap that goes on top. That's not there anymore, but we know it was there.
It also, sometimes I get fascinated, after the comet hits and they're going through our civilization, those freaking dumps are going to be, and they're going to be like, what were these people doing?
Yeah.
What are these tiny little freaking things? They probably worship these, and it's really just Daniel's rechargeable batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These have
Or-
a place of importance. Look, they have it looks like they were to fit in other things and
Yeah.
power them. Probably
okay.
religious devices.
Religious devices.
That was my whole plug for what the episode's going to be about. But gosh, now I got to tell, because you brought up the dump.
Yeah.
I was there today.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I
Looking
wasn't.
for his batteries.
Where are those freaking batteries?
No, I just Christmas, I get rid of a bunch of stuff. Anyways, I wasn't gonna tell the story, but now I have to tell it. Now I have to. So
You can always.
It's a short episode, I think, so no worries, man.
okay, good. We can riff a little bit longer then. Okay, so did either of you? Because we don't live that far from each other. How many miles do you think you and I are apart from each other?
Miles? I know that I'm 15 minutes, so I bet I'm 7 miles.
Okay, and you're probably maybe
I'm like 18 minutes.
Okay, so you're probably like
10 miles.
10 miles. So get this. This past week, I'm working on our latest episode. Going through them, editing it, getting it done, right? My office is in the top story of my house, right? It's a 2-story with a basement, right? And so I'm on the top, and I have the window cracked open because it was like beautiful weather this week. It got up to like 57.
Yeah. They tricked us.
It was awesome, and then it snowed today. But, so I'm just enjoying the cool air. It's coming in. I'm just grinding. And all of a sudden I hear this boom, huge loud explosion, and it literally shakes my house. So much so that my monitor, which is on my desk, starts wobbling back and forth and almost falls on me, and I grab it. And I'm like, what the heck was that? My thought was that an earthquake? Was like my first initial thought. And then my 2 youngest come running upstairs. Dad, was that an earthquake? I'm like, then I thought about it for like a second. I was like, no, that was like an explosion. And there's a rock quarry not too far from my house. So I'm thinking they must have been blasting. But every time they do blast, they usually like put out a notice on Facebook. And we've been here long enough that we recognize it, we know it, and it just kind of like, you hear the explosion and then it kind of shakes a little bit. And every time there's a huge dust cloud, and because they just blow a bunch of rocks and stuff. Nothing like that over there. And so I'm like, what was that? And then on our city Facebook page, that's like not sponsored by the city, but it's just like the people that live here have like a Facebook page, and everyone's like, what was that? What was that? What was that? And everyone's talking about it, and like I felt it.
Somebody's like, it was a destruction of a deep underground military base.
Oh, see, spoiler alert. That's where I'm going.
Black hat.
That's
where I'm going.
Black hat.
So get this. So that happens on like Wednesday, okay? Then on Friday, it happens again. Another huge explosion, and this time it gets even more chatter from people. There was even people that lived in American Fork that said they felt it. And people...
Flipping American Forkers?
And people as far as Fairfield. And Fairfield is...
It's a distance.
Is like 45... No, it's probably about half an hour. It's probably half an hour like southwest of where we're at right now. Okay? So...
What is that?
So in my mind, I'm like, I measured the distance. It's like a 20-mile radius of people that reported feeling their house shake and hearing a loud explosion. They've got it on their Ring cameras. They've got it like all this stuff. So then people are talking about like crazy. Well, enter in the actual city Facebook page starts making comments.
What, the official one? Or
the official city's Facebook page gets into the citizens' Facebook page they created and starts making comments. And they said, we were able to confirm that it was just fireworks.
No.
I'm not even joking you. Yeah. They say it's fireworks.
Bro, what?
Okay? So then everyone's like, no way, no way, no way, no way, no way. Like,
nice try.
And people are like, you're telling me fireworks that happened, in this area, people are hearing it 10 miles away. And you think about that, like there's some big
10
fireworks.
miles is
that's a long ways, right? So then, like maybe, I don't know, probably like later that day, or I think it was the next day, I can't remember. The city comes back in and says, for more details, or coming back with more details, there's a firework manufacturer out in Fairfield that was detonating old fireworks, like disposing of old fireworks, right? And they said the explosion was bigger than normal. Okay? To put this into context, though, there's a military base not far from here, about 10 miles further west, and they actually detonate old bombs.
So why wouldn't they just say, hey, we're just blowing up some old bombs?
See, that's what I was thinking, right? But
because they're probably detonating like old nuclear warheads, so they don't want you to know they're throwing radiation into the air.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. They do that. I'm like, the next time I'm like got boils and stuff. But no, here's the thing though. These explosions happen all the time. And the military base over here, which is Dugway Proving Grounds, and you have the Tooele, Army base or whatever, and they store a lot of nuclear weapons, supposedly, and they store a lot of old ordnance. And that there's a detonation team that takes the old ordnance, they pile it up, they I don't know what they do, maybe det cord or something.
The best job in the history of the earth.
And then they just sit there and boom. But when those go off, my dogs freak out, and because you can just hear them. We typically don't feel them, we just hear them, and it's just like boom, right? Which is kind of crazy, and it's kind of cool.
That's pretty weird, man.
But here's the thing, though.
Shake the house to the monitor almost falls off.
It shook the house to the point where I thought it was it shook, and I was like, this is an earthquake, and I was expecting another bigger shake.
Yeah, man, they're building bases under your house.
Yes. So I did some investigating today. Some investigating journalism today, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
And I wasn't going to bring this up because I was like, I don't know. So get this. Me and my wife did research. We got online. We looked at this firework company. This firework company specializes in special effects. They do lasers and firework special effects for concerts, for events, and different things like that. Okay? Yeah. And I had to go to the dump today. And guess what? What business is on the road on the way to the dump? This firework company, and I won't name them. I drove out there, and me and my son stopped and looked at the business, and they have right next to the road little berms and stuff where they
dudes talking into their freaking ear.
Yeah, they got eyes on you.
Blow it. So we went out there, and there's no evidence of an explosion or a crater or anything.
So they blamed it on them, and they weren't even really doing anything.
Yes, and the other thing is that the firework company never commented on any of it. And it's a really low-key... It's literally, it says the name of the company.
We need to go down to City Hall and just be like, what? Who is in charge of your Facebook? And who made this comment?
Yes.
Because they were probably like, oh yeah, it's fireworks. That'll shut them up.
Yeah.
And then they had to come back and be like, hey, they didn't
and
take.
So...
Just eat your air-fried Big Macs. Shut up.
And shut up. So here's my theory. We talked about it before. There's an Area 52 somewhere. Yeah.
Bro, if we have Area 52 right here, that'd be crazy town.
But here's the thing. You have a huge Facebook data storage facility less than 5 miles from here. Mm-hmm. Another maybe 3 or 4 miles north.
NSA.
You have the NSA data center.
Yeah.
Which is using extraordinary amounts of water.
Mm-hmm.
Extraordinary amounts.
It's
more than the city. They're using to liquid cool all these mainframes, and pretty much everything we're probably saying right now is being recorded and stored in that NSA facility.
Conveniently located.
Yeah.
You have a massive military base. You have the Dugway Proving Grounds, which is restricted ground that no one can go on.
Can't blame them. Utah's beautiful.
And there's no one, you think about from here to Nevada, there's nothing.
Dude, I don't want to point this out because this might just put the final nail in the coffin, but I've heard that you can ride a motorcycle from here over the dirt trails to where they filmed the crash that happened in the Planet of the Apes remake with Mark Wahlberg.
Sick.
So I believe it. It
could just be all wound together.
Yeah.
Maybe that Mark Wahlberg set wasn't a set. Maybe that was actually the crash.
So for all of you, what are we calling them, connectors?
We're trying to decide. I was just thinking connectors was a cool one.
Connectors is cool.
Dot heads is funny.
I like connectors because we want them to
help connect the dots.
Yeah.
If they feel an explosion in their area and they have a story like yours, it'd be cool if they let us know.
Yeah.
So we could look into it.
All right. For all you connectors out there, if you want to know where Area 52 is, I'm 89% sure it's in Utah. Tooele County.
It would be interesting because it's not too far from where
Area 51
is really, as far as 1 minute in one of those spacecraft.
Yeah. And here's the other interesting thing.
You could move the sofas and everything really easy with 0 point energy.
Do this, all you connectors out there. Get on Google Maps. Look at where Area 51 is. And then look at where Dugway Proving Grounds are in Utah. And look at what's in between. There's like literally no cities. And if they are, they're like old like mining towns that like no one really lives in anymore. But there is a buttload of dirt road and tracks all the way to Dugway.
How easy to connect underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how
Nice
convenient.
little tunnel.
Ooh, fireworks blew
Well,
up.
and how do you keep the boring company in business when they're not really doing any boring?
Yeah, because all the hype
government
was like they
contracted.
were gonna
Yep.
change like 30% of LA's traffic by building like an underground thing, and everybody was like, "Cool!" And they did all these photos of like them starting the build,
And then,
And then
that's where it still
just
is.
disappeared. Yeah.
But now they still are a business that runs. And it's like, okay, so who else would be a good customer of that?
Yeah.
Military.
Us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Through our military building tunnels. That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Pretty weird. There's a lot of weird stuff out here like that.
If some of the stuff becomes real, Daniel.
Yeah.
Like, I like to talk about it
Travis
as
is like,
if it
this
was
stuff
fake.
is just make believe.
Yeah.
Another.
This is like Mr. Rogers when he's like, time to go to the land of make believe, and like the cat's like meow 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 meow, and then like the person's in the tree or whatever, and the Princess Glinda comes. Maybe I'm mixing up multiple things there.
I think that was
Travis's full childhood
a little
just
bit
came
of
out.
Wizard
Yeah.
of Oz.
Okay, okay.
With-
Either way, man, don't even get me started on Wizard of Oz.
Or the that's the one, Mr. Rogers, where like the puppets, the king.
Like he comes and he sees,
like,
yeah,
lives right by
and
the
the
railroad
king's
tracks.
by the railroad tracks, and then yeah, and the cat would just talk in meow language,
All right. Well, reeling it back in.
reeling it back in.
So today we'll talk a little bit about ancient civilizations, technology, ancient technology.
Some of my favorite stuff.
Well, tell us what is some of your favorite stuff that you know about all this fielding.
So, well, I'll try not to go too far into the weeds, but there's a lot of like similarities within like religions that all kind of pinpoint from this one story of the Annunaki. So, they are like the first written like language, so way older than people thought people were existing. So these tablets are found, and on the tablets they have this creation story, and the creation story is these gods came to Earth, and their planet was basically like dying, and that they needed gold to put up in their atmosphere to protect it. So they came down and they started mining gold. And they're like, this sucks. I don't want to mine gold. Let's just create little worker bees to do all the mining for us. So then they took some of their DNA, spliced it with early hominids, we'll say.
Okay.
And then that created man. And so they then went and mined gold for him. And you have this lineage of the Anunnaki is who the gods were, these space travelers. And they were from what's called the 9th planet, also known as Nibiru.
Mm-hmm.
Some people refer to that one as Planet X. And basically, as the story goes, they started to progress. So the brothers, Enki and Enlil, one of them was like, humans are slaves. Like, they're nothing more. We should just destroy them. And then the brothers, like, no, like, we should teach them to be like us, smart, they can travel the stars. And then they have this whole, like, battle, this war in heaven.
Did they call it heaven and that and
Yeah,
their thing too?
towards, like, the future of like, humanity. And so they also have
This is ringing a bell.
That
They
sounds
also-
oddly familiar.
have a flood story. So in the Bible, we have like Noah. God told Noah to build an ark, save people because there was going to be a flood that was going to kill like all the wicked people, right? And then you step back, it's like, well, what was all the wicked people? And it's like, well, it was the descendants of like these watchers who saw the daughters of Eve or man, I can't remember how it is in the Bible, but they laid with them, they had children, and then the offspring are referred to in the Bible as the Nephilim, that they were like bigger people.
You mean physically, right?
Yeah.
Like Goliath.
Goliath, right.
Okay.
And so then they needed to be wiped off and destroyed. And so you have the flood story that then like that's what goes on. Then you have over here in the Sumerian tablets, you have the same exact story of a flood, except that is to wipe out man. But one of the brothers goes down and tells somebody, hey, build a boat. Like, you'll be able to be saved from the floods. And so
Right.
Gilgamesh is who that person is, gets on the boat and then is saved. And so you think of the similarities where the brothers are fighting. One wants to enslave humanity, one wants to have humanity continue to progress forward. And so it's like, is the like Christians' story of the creation and Adam and Eve and all that stuff the original story, or are we retelling a story of the Anunnaki, which was like the first creation story? Because they have like so many similarities.
So you're saying that I'm trying to wrap my head around all this. So basically, does this go back to the idea that, like I was joking around about how there's like an Earth 1.0, and then there was like an Earth 1.1, and then now we're like, so there's like multiple creations, and then, you know, let's just say floods. It may not have been a flood, but basically extinction events or millenniums, second comings, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they basically are taking the Earth. The Earth is flooded, you know, wiped clean, and then they're like, hey, another creation. And so you're saying that the story of the Anunnaki could be either A, the most recent iteration, or Adam but the actual Adam and Eve story is either like the first creation story and being retold, and that could have been like multiple versions. Are you guys following me?
Yeah.
Or are you saying that the story of the Anunnaki and Adam and Eve are the exact same event?
I think
and they're just being told, and over obviously thousands of years, the story gets, you know, instead of a snake, it was, you know, this, or it was that, you know what I mean? And then now it's kind of like changed enough where the names are different, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. That's what I think that's what we're just retelling the story of the Anunnaki that came from their planet, that seeded man to be like slaves. And then the brothers are fighting about
that could be created,
the future, right?
Yeah.
So they talk about in
their image, was man created in Anunnaki's image? Do we know what they look like?
We know because we have in the Sumerian texts they have like carvings and stuff of them.
Okay.
And so you have some.
I just did the noise that you'll put the picture.
Yeah. So they have some that have like wings on them depicted as angels. Basically, the Anunnaki are like written as like master geneticists. So they come down and then they start altering DNA of all the people that were here. Now, was there
people here?
Well, that's what like we don't know, because the first we have of like the language
Whoa.
is them, the Sumerians.
So hold on. So there's a group of people, a lot in this world, that think we're descended from apes.
Yeah.
And then there's a group that are like, nope, just created. But really what you're saying is it could be both.
Yeah. So
Where you have
Created, so you take apes and then you're just like,
so this
And they,
theory, yeah,
that is interesting because there's no missing link, right? So there wouldn't be a missing link if what you're saying is true, because it would just be, well, there would still be monkeys there because they just took some,
right? Because they can go back and
altered
show
them.
I know, this is like where like religion and science are like.
Hey, I just want to say I'm not saying any of this is true for all you people out there that are also
everybody
weirded out.
Yeah, all you
Chill
connectors, calm down.
Yeah, maybe.
chill out.
I mean, I just want to be. This could be true, but be careful. I don't know. I get afraid about this stuff sometimes. Be careful. Yeah, this is for fun only.
This exists on the frequency that I come from.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
I love
It's
it.
different, you know. I vibrate in here,
But
to
it really
hang out
does
with you
kind of
guys.
click into a spot.
So that's
it's
why they-
always been a question with me.
They go back, and it's like you can see all these like links in like evolution, but then there's like that missing link, right? And so that's where they then spliced some of their genetics in with like monkeys. So then, yeah, we still have monkeys, but then now there's like this evolution. So what happens
And
now?
that would be why there wouldn't be a missing link, because it wasn't like it kept progressing like that. It was like hit this point.
Boom, and now here's language. Here's
Yeah.
all this stuff. We're gonna teach you how to harvest crops. We're gonna teach you how to build. We're gonna teach you how to have all this stuff. And so Mesopotamia
We're going to come and visit you and teach you the law.
Well, and that
Yeah.
that aligns with a lot of cultures, because you have Quetzalcoatl, right? That came from the sea, showed up, taught everybody how to do everything. And there's like a million similar stories like that where a supreme being shows up, gives knowledge, gives technology, crops, how to learn all these things.
Yeah.
And then another point, going back to what you're talking about, right? The connection between like, oh, is it evolution, or is there a God? My mind thinks, why wouldn't God, the way that we know it, be a master geneticist? Because if he's all knowing,
I know. Does this really? Should I be afraid of any of this? Really? Which I say afraid, but I mean it's like challenges your thoughts, right?
I always look at it as like, so we grow up being taught like XYZ is where we come from in here, and this is the plan. And this just may have been the way that it was done.
Yeah.
This is how XYZ
Because we kind of talk a lot about
but we don't ever talk
big
about
picture.
where did XYZ come from. We just talk about XYZ.
well, this is like, I remember like as a kid, like super small, like maybe like 10, 11, 12, with all my buddies, we'd all lay on the trampoline, do sleepovers. And I remember many times we all laid on the trampoline and we're like staring up at the stars, and we're like, guys, I wonder, like, where did God come from? Was he like us? Did he have a God? Is this universe his universe? Or is the universe never ending and there's other gods? You know what I mean? It's like, and I guess the best analogy, the way I've had to like put this in my mind is, if I was going to tell you to drive from Salt Lake City to New York City, right? You could plug in your GPS. I want to go from Salt Lake to New York City. It'll give you the straightest, fastest route there, right? Now, you've basically told your GPS to take you to New York City, but what the GPS isn't looking for is what's further west, right, of where you're going. And it's not going to tell you all the amazing things that you could see in between Salt Lake City and New York City. Because your actual path, the important part of your path is you're going from here, you got to take this road to this road to this road to this road to get to your destination. That's like when we've been raised, you know, being Christian, being raised in a Christian household, everything that I grew up and learned was like, you're here to be tested. You're here to, prove yourself, essentially, that you're a good person. There's, rules and guidelines that you have to follow. And the end destination is that if you live righteously, you'll be able to be resurrected. You'll be able to have, eternal glory with God, with your family, and all of that, right? And in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter that if it was used like genetics and DNA manipulation and changes in order to make man? Not really, because the end goal is the same, right? I'm going to receive eternal glory if I live my life in a way that I need to live it. And so I think, like you're saying, it's like you got to keep your North Star true, right? And you're going to follow the path, like you're going to follow your GPS to the destination, and that's really what matters. But all the other stuff is just like interesting bits that you can learn about that will only make the experience more interesting as you go along. That's the way I have had to look at it, because me, it doesn't change anything that I believe, but it does make it interesting.
Like figuring out what the nature of God is irrelevant.
Right.
But
right.
also, I think about it all the time. It's
interesting.
Yeah, my son had a good point. He's like, I don't remember the scripture, but he said, don't look beyond the mark. What's the point? Take care of your family.
Yeah.
Right.
Eat your Wheaties. Say your prayers.
Yeah.
Take your vitamins like Hulk Hogan.
Do the basic stuff.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
But it's still cool. And then I don't know. A lot of this stuff is pretty fun because even little things like finding the cities that are like buried in the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I believe that already happened through faith. And now it's like there's some things but I guess maybe the flip side of that danger is anytime we talk about this stuff, maybe it isn't a fear, but it's like, all right, if we start building our testimony on anything other than faith, then that becomes something that can be attacked more easily, right? Like, let's say that we're like, I'm all in for God is the Annunaki, and that is for sure true.
Yeah.
And then they discover another thing, and Netflix does a special on it, and we're like, oh crap, that wasn't true.
Annunnaki's not even real.
That wasn't true. So now nothing's true. Where am I?
Yeah.
So good way to describe it, Daniel. And that's maybe where I'm coming from too. And so it's more like, this is interesting.
Oh yeah.
See, me, I want to be in the car on the way to New York City, and I don't want to go off of the prescribed path to New York City, but I'm definitely looking out the windows as I go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, look at that over there. No, look at that over there. That's how I envision how I take all of these different conspiracies.
I need to look out the windows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all these different conspiracies and things.
I don't want to know what's out the window. I don't want to know what's out the window.
that crazy, the thing that really is interesting to me is that whole idea. I mean, because whether you're, I mean, I don't think anyone can really disagree. I can't remember what the exact percentage is, but you take a chimp and we're like 97% identical DNA-wise.
Right.
So whether you're a creationist or not,
and there's
you do believe, I mean, that's like provable, right? And so then your explanation,
because there's a huge
could bridge
percent
the gap between those pretty well, because
there's a
of
huge,
course, there's 3% was the freaking Anunnaki.
Yeah.
There's a huge percent of our DNA that's not activated. Right?
Bro, what do you mean activated?
Am I gonna they talk about
Green
our
Lantern
DNA. Maybe
that'd be so sick.
So they talk about our DNA strands, and that only a small portion is activated. So it's that's where maybe that's what was patched in from the Anunnaki, but they're we don't want them to rise up against us, so we're gonna severely change
and so then
their abilities.
When we get resurrected, maybe they flip that switch on.
Flip that on.
No, dude, it's just a software
update. We
use
more of our brain
because we live in a simulation.
Now our bodies don't need food to fuel, so
we can be breatharians.
You can just
You guys ever hear breatharians?
Never even heard that term.
Dude.
Yeah.
Breatharians are sidebar. Slide this in. This is
We're
a
looking
real
out
thing.
the window here.
Yeah.
That's fine.
There's I think one of them was in Australia, and she just told everybody, like, look.
Oh yes, and then
I
they do a
just
documentary
breathe.
about
I
her.
just like the world just gives me what I need to sustain myself. And they're like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, I just don't eat anything. And I mean,
She
even asked her some
start- she,
questions
like,
like,
started a
they're like, do you
following, like a
poop?
cult.
And then she's like, literally, no, I don't poop.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
just
even eat.
the universe gives me what I need. And they're like, well, can we like put you in an apartment and like see?
She's like, of
And
course.
she's like, of
Can
course.
we
So she goes in
starve
there
you?
and they're like in 30, like they went a long time, right? It was like
Yeah,
30
yeah.
days and she's not eating or drinking. But she is dying.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
she,
I was
doesn't,
like-
she doesn't do well.
She does not do well. But then there's been several and they kind of start these followings and people like follow them like
Yeah.
a cult, kind of. Not it, I don't think, I
people
don't remember,
just
but I don't
starve
think
themselves?
the followers want to get to that level, but then they start
But they
giving out.
can't.
You got to read my books and you got to do this stuff and
Well,
get
you
one-
can't. It's just like a.
I'm just like
a
sometimes I'm
diet.
like, I remember once I couldn't even sell like a Gap warranty on a freaking auto loan, and these people were like being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you can live without breathing." It's
Yeah.
like I don't know about that.
And they're just like, that's because you're weak and addicted to
Yeah,
oxygen.
you're
so
addicted to
your body
the-
thinks it needs it.
You think you need,
You need to
this
start
mortal-
holding your breath for longer periods of time.
But you're essentially saying that okay, maybe it's true.
Maybe.
she unlocked her Annunaki DNA.
Yeah.
She's just gathering the nutrients from the
Because what does
universe.
what does the religion say about
It's like 0 point energy.
God, that he's
Yeah.
a resurrected being of flesh and bone, where we have blood in our body. Blood's corruptible. And so that's where all disease comes from, is from blood. If we could exist and live in our bodies without blood, our heart doesn't need to pump, then we wouldn't need fuel, we wouldn't need air, we
Would-
could
would
go
you-
anywhere.
When you were in the sun, would you like shimmer
I hope not.
Dude, you know what would
like
be
a vampire?
You know what'd be super sick about that? Think about it. If you didn't need your lungs, heart, spleen, liver, dude, I would put a zipper and just, and I'd like store my phone in there, keys. I'd never lose anything. My chest cavity would become
Solid.
like my man purse. I could pull out like anything. It's like Superman, but just
That is
Velcro.
strange. I mean, total tangent here, but like, yeah, I do. I believe we could be resurrected. But then, if what you're saying is how it works, then what is the heart for?
Right.
Could I be an empty? Then what do we need? I don't know. It blows your mind a little bit.
Well, it's like
You really, okay.
s-
So what is my body for then?
it's just for experience.
Yeah,
It's just a vessel to experience this 3D world.
but we'll have it right forever.
yeah.
Okay.
When you think about it, if you were going to have it forever, I mean, you wouldn't want it to deteriorate. And what, like, you think about when people die, why do they die?
What's
Because
that-
their heart stops, because
what's the
their lungs
Nintendo
stop.
thing where you have a character
An
on
avatar?
Nintendo. Yeah, it's like that. Like, if you're not logged in for a while, you don't log back in and your avatar's like dead. Like it's just always there for you.
But does it have a
Sometimes you're
heart? But
plugged
does your
into it.
Nintendo character that you created one of those little bobblehead guys with the Wii?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
On the Wii.
What do they call the? Yeah, but your avatar.
Me
The-
something.
the
Yeah, my
meeples?
me characters.
The meeples. Did
Yeah.
they have a heart
Meeples.
inside of them?
Well, not in this one, but not in
But I
this.
mean, yeah,
theory.
yeah.
But that's what it would be.
But it
would
exists.
be like, and so then, yeah, so then you get to plug into that if that has like a heart and all this stuff, and then you'd like.
So
when
then,
you're on this side of it, you would say,
so
hey,
what were the two brothers' names?
Inkley and Enlil.
Inkley and Enlil, and Enlil's the good one. Mm-hmm. So would that?
No,
that,
Enlil's the bad one.
Enlil's Inkley then.
Yeah.
President Inkley. No.
I was like, that's what my mind went.
So that is interesting. So their plan was one of them was so they both knew that we were created for gold. That actually really makes it sound dumb.
To mine, it does.
Yeah, I'm like gold.
Yeah.
Unless there's something with the gold.
Yeah,
It's cooler than
gold on their planet. So apparently,
that's their blood.
Their planet is like
That'd
a
be sick to
heavy,
get cut in blood, like gold blood.
like a heavy iron planet. So it's like red, and their atmosphere, something about it, they've damaged their atmosphere. And so gold, which then kind of gets into like chemtrails a little bit here, where they spray, allegedly. Here, they spray like these little metal particles that reflect the sunlight, like back out. And so the gold, they learned they can do that above their atmosphere, and then it like protects their planet. And so they came here because Earth has a ton of gold. But getting it and mining
the cuckoo part too is like,
sucky.
all right, just going naysayer.
Who's the guy that created Scientology?
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, I could have lived that life.
I thought it was Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I could be
Not
L.
Tom
Ron
Hanks.
Hubbard.
Tom,
Fielding literally wants to join Scientology voluntarily right now.
Yeah, but I want to make my own.
Yeah. Oh, make your own. Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
making
because
his
it's
own
like,
religion.
because like,
I'm
okay,
starting my
all this stuff's like it's a cool story, but it's like, all right, they have this like Sumerian thing, and it says like there was a flood and they came and created us. And then how much of now there's just all this lore behind it. It's like reminds me of people in the background, like just typing in on the website.
Yeah.
You know, and here's why they need the gold.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Well,
like-
here's an interesting science fact for you. Gold can be evaporated into a gas vapor, but it has to hit 2,970 degrees Celsius, which is about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is half as hot as the surface of the sun. But it can be turned into a vaporized gold.
I've heard said that our planet will be resurrected. Be changed into a sea of glass,
Yeah.
which would probably take some extreme heat.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so then, if that planet that Enlil and Inkley are from
Yeah.
has also maybe been transferred to that frequency or whatever we want to call it, maybe the temperature is that hot. That's interesting. The gold part does cheapen it, but maybe
It does cheapen it a little bit. Because it's like, well,
But the two brothers piece is like, all right, I just think they're slaves. Let's not give them any choices.
right.
The other one's like, no, they need choices
Yeah.
to learn.
They
and
can
grow.
evolve and be like us and travel the stars. And the other one's like,
That's pretty in line with what I believe.
well, then you have on like the Sumerian side, right? The Annunaki are like, hey, some of these like ladies that we made are good looking. I'm gonna like take one to bed. And now there's like, now they have a kid. And so
Now they have a little bit of their DNA in them. Plus, they also have more. The kid would then also.
so then those.
I don't know about geneticists, but
See,
I'm showing
then
the
this
hand signs.
then
for
this
it.
gets
Yeah.
into like demigods and
So that exactly
Greek mythology.
So they found
like you're talking like Apollo and
Hercules and
Hercules.
so they
Hercules.
have
Dude.
Queen.
Because mythology
or
does talk
something
about
like
it all the time. It's always taking these women and you're like, these freaking, what are these
Yeah.
guys doing?
Yeah,
yeah.
they're supposed to be freaking
Come on,
gods. Come on,
Zeus.
get it together.
Come on, Zeus.
So they had this. They found this queen in ancient Sumeria, and she was tied to the first dynasty of the Sumerians.
Okay.
And she was said to be descendants of Annunaki, and then obviously like half of her was human. Mm-hmm. But what they noticed was her head is that huge cone shape that we see in Egypt. We see like all across the
Indiana
globe.
Jones 4.
Indiana Jones 4, something
Crystal
of the
skulls.
crystals. Yeah. So is like that a
Traits.
side effect or a trait of your DNA is like also part of these like God's DNA, where maybe your brain is bigger or there's abilities in there or something.
Or
that,
it's
but they also lived like thousands of years. So you look in like the Bible, like
Methuselah.
Yeah.
Methuselah, they lived for thousands of years.
Well,
so were they part
and that,
of that
black dude we were
lineage?
talking about earlier, we need to reference him. 'Cause
I'll find his
he's
name.
crazy, but also maybe he's not trying. I don't know.
Yeah, he's probably.
But he
I've
was
never-
talking.
I've
He was
never
talking
heard
about
of it,
that.
but
He
I'm
was talking
excited.
about, and in the Bible they come, and now their life will be 120 years, and so
Yeah.
that God decided that 120 years is your full life, and he's saying that was
His name is Billy Carson.
Billy Carson.
He is the founder and CEO of Forbidden Knowledge Inc.
Okay.
I love that sound.
Yeah, you're about to go.
Dude, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole.
I'm going to
call this guy. We're going to start our
If
own
you
religion.
get too crazy, I'm just going to literally call you to repentance.
That's fine. And I'll just be like, no.
Yeah, and I'll sprinkle freaking.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Monster.
I'll be like,
we'll
water.
record it too.
Yeah.
It'll be episode 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep the faith, people. This is just for fun. But that is interesting. So anyway, he was talking about, so that's how telomeres got put into our, essentially all our cells. So that, then it's like
A
the telomere is, it's in all your cells, I believe. So it's like you're born and it's like a stack of them. And as you age, a telomere will keep telling that cell how to reproduce, and so your skin's nice and everything, but it's like a little copy, and they just keep like depleting until like old people have no telomeres. So then the cells are like, well, we don't know how to reproduce, so we're done, and then and then you die. So people get black spots and stuff.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
So
now,
really,
I
all
may not
that
have
we
explained it
have,
correctly, but telomeres are real, and Billy Blanks, or whatever his name is,
Billy Carson.
Billy Blanks was the freaking boxer guy. The type, remember that when everyone was like boxing to get in shape. Anyway,
Well, that might be a little bit before our
yeah,
time.
it was
Travis.
90s. That was, I think it was the 90s when you guys were babies.
Baby,
But
I was young.
he was saying that was God came in and everyone was living thousands of years or whatever, and he's like, no, too long, and put the telomeres in. Or
So that could
reduce the
be
telomeres.
like the cycle of creating vessels for his spirit children is taking too long.
Yeah.
So instead of them living 150 years, let's cut it down so they
And you got
live 30
people in
years.
heaven that are like,
Come on.
let's
get
let
it
me
on.
in. Come on, coach, put me in.
Yeah.
I get it.
What am I, chopped liver?
Well, that's the interesting thing too, because like with the whole, it could either be like a byproduct of like the mixture of DNA, or it could very well be like some of the things you might find in the South, where like a brother marries his cousin, and then that kid has a
be.
flipper,
Yeah.
and like
Do you guys want to
Six
hear?
toes.
Do you guys want to hear a true story?
yeah.
So
Well, that's all we tell on the
I
podcast
had
is true stories.
I had relatives
What are you
that
talking about, dude?
I had relatives that they married cousins, and then those kids also married cousins, and so I wasn't super related, but I knew them, and then all of her kids, my great aunt, I guess, so all of her kids were deaf.
That's weird.
Because you can.
That's not
you
where I
might
thought
be
it
able
was
to get
going.
away with just marrying your own cousin, but if you're a product of that and then you marry your cousin,
There's
Yeah,
something.
now you're playing with
there's
fire.
it's getting a little bit.
I was really
serious.
hoping you were going to pull your foot up and like take your shoe
No.
off and there's 6 toes. That would have
Yeah.
been so awesome.
As far as I know, no. In my direct, of course, probably
Here's
back
what-
there somewhere. We probably all got some cousins.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's
for
called,
sure.
It's called
So-
kissing cousins for a reason.
Here's what I always think about that. So, at some point, Adam and Eve were created.
Yeah.
Right.
They had kids. Their kids had kids.
And what I'm trying to do before you go, I know I'm cutting you off again, so go and ding. But before you go, keep that. Their kids had kids.
Just
Keep
sit
that.
here and pout. Wait till I get my turn
This-
again.
Keep
this
that.
show.
Keep that thought though. But then, okay. So if that happened, then I don't even know how to explain it now. Gosh, dang it.
That's all right. Work it out.
So,
We're
Adam,
here.
so created is the correct term. And does anything we've talked about so far even disqualify that?
No,
No,
everything's
no,
been
no.
creation, regardless of which version, or if you compile
That's where I'm like trying to. My
It's
mind's
all
like
creation.
spinning
Because
on it.
evolution is like nonsense, I think.
I kind of
We
agree with you, but
were
I've kind of been
created.
brainwashed into like evolution. So my thought up till just tonight was literally, okay, so evolution's real, but God took this tiny little snowball and like sent it down the mountain and it just got bigger and bigger. And so he created us, but it was by establishing evolution. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you're saying.
But yours is more. What you just said is more direct. Like, oh, he literally like just took this as matter unorganized.
Yeah.
tweak. Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I think what you're saying, I think it could be both ways. Because in my mind, right, like if you go to the Bible, you look at Genesis, it talks about obviously the 7 days of creation or whatever, right? He rests on the seventh, 6 days of creation. He created all these different things in stages. But keep in mind, our knowledge and understanding of time is man-made.
No, I agree with that.
So
I don't believe they really mean 7 days.
Yeah. So the 7 creation periods. So in my mind, it still makes sense that if God came in and said, okay, here's matter unorganized, I'm going to create this world and I'm going to seed the world. And the world is seeded, and then through evolution.
So maybe it's like they used evolution to get the workers.
Yeah. Well.
Or the monkeys.
Evolution
I guess
to
you
get
could say
the
that.
monkeys, right? And
Yeah,
then at a
and all the
certain
animals and a
This is a
beautiful
big
world.
project we're talking about. They're like, we need some gold for our atmosphere. Let's fly to this freaking other planet.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Think of it like
make monkeys.
Let's put it-
No, monkeys are already there.
Oh, monkeys were already there. See what
because
you're saying?
over the evolution of him seeding the planet,
dude.
So apparently,
and then he comes back and goes, and here's like this. It's like. Sorry, I'm cutting you off again. Ding.
I know you got to come back to your
but
point.
I also cut you guys off.
So it's almost like to put this into like terms we'd understand. It's like starting a small business, right? And you're and hold on, follow me on this. You're an entrepreneur,
it's like a dog business,
right? And your goal is to like build an empire, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll go and be like, okay, I'm going to create this dog grooming business.
Yeah, like for instance.
Yeah, and I'm going to invest in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to let them do their thing and I'm going to come back. And then I go over here and I'm going to start a convenience store. And I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to start like all these different things, right? And you can have all these different things at different stages at different times and you're still over all of it. You could have a dog business that's like in the very beginnings, but your, convenience store is like you're opening up your 6th convenience store in like a different state, but your dog business is barely.
That ties into this.
You know what I mean?
All right.
And so it's like he could be creating the world and letting it just sit, and over time evolution happens. But he's in a different like galaxy, and he's creating, or he's already creating. He's coming back to his people because in Scripture. In the Bible, it says that he has as many children as grains of sand on the beaches of the sea, right? I totally butchered that.
So eloquent.
Worlds,
So
but-
eloquent.
So elegant.
Other worlds he has the
Yeah.
numbered of the sands of the sea or something.
Yeah, something like that. So it's like he has all these other things going on.
I mean, I get it's weird to me that this is all somehow making sense. But anyway.
Okay.
Back to fielding.
So the planet that they come from,
Who's they?
the Anunnaki,
Okay.
Nibiru,
Who could possibly be Heavenly Father?
could possibly be Heavenly Father.
Okay.
That planet is due,
Kolob.
Kolob,
Okay.
to come back in the year 2900. So
That's too long.
every whatever thousands of years as it's on its like super elongated rotation around our sun.
Right, and they're saying that too, like this kind of operates like this around the
Right.
sun, but this one goes like this, right?
Yeah, like it goes woo, way out there.
Like,
comes
they
in.
call it they call that something like it's,
Yeah,
but it's essentially at a right angle, right?
Yeah. And so
I have a theory on this, by the way.
when that comes in, that planet being like an iron planet comes in, it also brings asteroids with it. So when it came by one of the times was like the destruction of the dinosaurs as it comes in. So it could come through, sprinkle down some monkey seeds, and then when it comes back, now they're a little more, now they can like chop in their DNA with them. They can like exist with Earth for X amount of years until they get too far out again, where traveling back and forth in their classic car becomes too long or whatever, and so then they return. So let's say they come back in the year 2900, and we've way stepped outside of what we're supposed to do, right? And they're like, no. And then both of them agree, no. They're like, putting crap on the moon. They've like, there's all this stuff is corruption. They're evil. Like, we're just going to wipe them out.
They have like
Start
F Boy
over.
Island is one of their TV shows.
Right. There's these guys that are twins,
Yeah.
call themselves the island boys or
Yeah,
something.
get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Be the island boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows
I'm
them.
actually just jealous, but
They're the sons of Jeffrey Epstein, so allegedly. So I think they're called
that-
the Island Boys.
is that?
Oh
freaking-
my gosh,
Are you saying that's true?
dude. Oh god.
There's photos of like these two little boys with Jeffrey Epstein in there. People have shown like that looks
Are you
identical
s-
to them.
No way. Okay, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna try to put it
Bro.
on the screen. That's insane.
Okay.
right.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Yeah, side note, but-
so, and you said something interesting. You said and then they both agree. So 2,900 happened. They both agree. Who's they?
The brothers.
So you're still saying that the brothers are going to work together, Satan and God?
Well, in this story, they're not Satan. and
Ah,
God.
okay.
They're just the brothers.
We're at a different frequency. 0.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we
So-
just skipped on the record.
If we're tying like
Okay.
that one, then like yeah, that theory doesn't work.
Okay.
Well, here's
The theory
a,
of like the Christian religion doesn't work, right? So, because in the Christian religion, Satan and Jesus, like, they're not working together.
Cast
They
off.
may see each other every now and then, but they're like.
But
talking
I will
smack
say
from the other side of the room.
Satan's cast off somewhere.
Yeah.
maybe he's not on the iron.
Maybe Outer
planet.
Darkness is like at the other end of that.
Okay, so
Maybe it's a
Eternity.
physical place.
So funny story. My wife was doing a photo shoot today. She comes home. I was babysitting, which is what we call when the dad parents.
Dude,
Babysitting.
if we had more fans, you would be so toast right now. I was babysitting my own children.
Yeah. So my wife comes home to find
Hey, let's be honest. That's basically what happens when the wife leaves.
my oldest has spelled a swear word
Okay. Which one?
Hell.
No!
He spells it.
And she's like, because he has these letters, because he's like Rain Man, so he's just like spelling and making like there's 1,000 videos that he films of himself making movie credits that match. Anyway, so he spells hell, and my wife's like, "Well, what is that?" And he's like, "I don't want to say it."
He's like, Nibiru.
And she's like, "Well, why won't you say it?" And he's like, "Well, it's a swear word," and so he wouldn't say it. And so I like see it, and I'm like, I think it's funny. And so I'm like, well, what are you doing? Blah 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 blah. So later, she has a photo shoot tomorrow, so we like drop the kids at my parents, so we just have the baby. And my wife and I are driving home, and she was like, I was trying to explain hell to my son, and she's like, I don't, like, it just seems like a trap to make somebody like obey your rules, right? Like, if you don't do this, you're gonna go to hell. And
This is your wife was that.
yeah, and so then we got into like, well, then there's different beliefs of different religions where it's like according to one religion, hell is just like this outer darkness, right? Where somebody's cast off. And then heaven is multiple like levels. So there's no real like, if you don't do this, you're gonna burn in hell for all eternity. It's more like, if you choose to like live this way, then your like existence in the hereafter will be at this level, right? If you do more, you'll be at this other. So it's more of like a reward system and encouragement to do good rather than like a scare tactic.
I always think of hell like regret.
Right.
Because I think
It's almost like a mental state,
But it like
like a
almost
frame of mind.
doesn't exist in the sense of it's not used, or it shouldn't be used by religions as like a
Right.
scare tactic to get you to
I 100%
pay
agree with
tithing
that.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's-
100% agree with that. And I think it's been misused that way, right?
Oh,
right.
quite
And
a
so
bit.
that's where like it gets twisted to the point that it's
And then people are like, well, no loving God would do that. And it's like, no, the loving God's like saying, don't do these things because you
Right.
will go there if you
Right.
do them. And
Yeah.
I love you and I don't want you to do that.
yeah.
Right.
Versus, yeah, if you do that, you can.
Yeah.
You're not going to be with us.
So that's where, like, you're talking about, like, Satan.
And I always love when
Cast
people are
out.
like saying that. They're always like assuming they're making it.
Yeah.
You
That's
won't-
always my thought.
You won't be up there with us. Oh,
Yeah.
really? What's one of the big laws? Don't judge.
Yeah.
Freaking A, man.
Yeah. I always felt like if you get to, like, the highest level, there's probably a lot of, like, responsibility and crap up there.
I think
Don't sign me up for that one.
100% agree. I think you'll be surprised if you get there. You'll
That's
be
like
surprised
being
who's
like a-
there with you,
like a
and then
CEO.
also you'll be surprised some of the people who just opt out.
Right.
And I actually think everyone's invited. This is my honest theory. It's literally like right over there, and you're right. It's like, well, what do I do here? It's like, oh, yeah, you're freaking. It's time to work.
People are like, ooh. So Pebble Beach is this mid grade? Yeah, I'm gonna go there.
Feeling you're gonna freaking be there, dude. You're gonna step up.
Here's the funny thing. Like
I'll be at Pebble Beach, dude, for tanning.
I've thought of it that way too, but not in the sense of like responsibility, but more of like comfort level. Like if you think about it, like if you were to take someone who like maybe salt of the earth, a farmer from like the Midwest, 5th generation farmer, and you go put him in the Ritz-Carlton, it would be an uncomfortable environment, right?
Ooh, I've never.
And
thought
so
of that
for
before.
me,
I
it's
like
like if you get into this highest, awesome degree of, glory, but you really didn't earn it and you didn't really associate yourself with that level of people.
You don't
When you get
vibrate
there,
on
you're
that
going to be like,
frequency.
which fork do I use to eat the escargot? What is that? Escargot? You know what I mean? I think that at the end of this life, no matter how you lived it, you will be put in a place where you're most comfortable being.
It's like you walk outside and you've
sense.
been in the basement all day and it's like really bright, and you're like, I can't exist. I can't even drive my car. This is too bright. Glory is too much. And then you come back inside.
You're like, oh, this is
I like the
nice.
feeling when it's too bright, he goes back inside.
Yeah.
Or you just acclimate.
Or
Possible.
put cool sunglasses on.
Yeah. I like it. I don't disagree. I'm still
They're all
blown away
theories.
by this freaking monkey thing.
We also still never got to talk about the fact that, like, so Adam and Eve are created. Yeah, we probably.
No,
we're
you're good. You're good.
way
Like
long.
we can wrap it up with one final thought.
Take us home.
Yeah, bring us home.
Okay, I'll bring us home after I talk about this one thing. So
Perfect.
So Adam and Eve had kids, and then their kids had kids, right? So, and then I'm gonna tell you the theory that somebody told me. So my thought was like, at what point does that now start becoming like a negative? Like you were saying, a cousin and a cousin and a cousin. There's all these like birth defects. But yet, that's how we started, right? Relative and relative,
Right.
relative. And so the person that I was having this conversation with, she was like, I think it's the further from like God, the further from like the pure creation that you get, the more like corruptible the blood is and all
True, because Adam and Eve probably didn't have any mutations or
that.
anything
Right.
to
'Cause
even pass
they're
on.
perfect.
They didn't have, they
I see what
didn't,
you're
they
saying.
didn't have red-headedness to pass on.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Aggression.
but
I showed my parents that,
sickle
they were laughing.
sickle cell anemia
Yeah,
or
yeah.
I can't think of all but genetic maladies. Oh, that actually kind of does make sense because then not saying I'm pro cousins marrying, but if they were both genetically perfect,
Right.
then they wouldn't pass on anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of those genetic mutations come from just random mutations when cells
Yeah.
replicate throughout.
So, but it's like an interesting thing at like what point that starts to like interject in. Anyway, so you look at the Bible, and we haven't talked about like the Nephilim a lot and the flood stories and all that, but they're so similar to this story. And now that's where we talked about like, well, is it because this story of like Christian religion is true, so other stories are copying it? Or is it this thing is true, and so it's being retold, 100,000 times. Which
Yeah.
you think about Central America, and they had the flying serpent god.
Quetzalcoatl.
They had the star people in the Anasazi.
Well, they had the Sumerian guy that had like the little pine cone.
Right, right.
And then in Ecuador, they had almost the exact same picture.
Well, and then you have those.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
The Annunaki that then are also like splicing with other animals, and so then you have
And maybe that's
we were
what
talking about.
Maybe that's what they needed to get rid of.
And then you
The
have
flood.
in Egypt, you have the, I can't think of what they're called now, but the like dog-headed people
Osiris.
that always seem to have like
Osiris, or-
ripped bods.
Yeah,
It's like they just take like this perfect specimen of a dude.
yeah,
We just give him a dog head.
yeah. Well,
But he's still jacked.
who let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's so. The theory with all of that basically is then in the year 2900, when Planet X comes back, we'll be faced with like, are the gods returning? And if so, does it like, is it return for Judgment Day? Is it return to save us? Like, there's so many things about Second Coming of all these wars, and then Christ is going to come and save us. But then there's also talking about the end of times, that it's Judgment Day. And I think both of those things will coexist. Like, I believe all of this stuff is true. And I like Daniel's analogy of like, it's a roadmap to get here to there, right? And as we drive by the road at night, there's lights on so we can see where we're going, but the lights are being powered from a dam that's on the other side of the mountain that has water running down it that charges the whatever to then give us the light, right? And so from our point of view, we don't know any of that stuff is existing outside there. We just see like there's light on the path. And so I think
Hold to the rod.
all of this stuff ties in, but there's just so many things that match up with like our Bible and the story of the Anunnaki and like their creation and all that.
It is.
That fits in, that it's like, well, I think that it makes a lot of sense.
Could also be there was an event that the Anunnaki stories just was telling it. The Bible was telling it.
Yeah.
The real event was just both, two different civilizations told that
Yeah.
story.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's exactly like the flood story, right? You have people
Yeah.
from all over the world telling the same story.
Because they all experienced it.
Yeah, but they all tell it with their own like cultural and language, and certain languages don't have certain words, and so it's like they all did their best to try to explain it based on their own knowledge, right? And when you have really religions that believe in like if you go back to Quetzalcoatl, right? It's like, oh, well, we believe like these snakes are like a god of some kind, and they don't know anything different, and this giant flood comes and everything, they're going to be like, oh, maybe it was this god that did it. And so then their story that they pass on is like a version, but the version's all the general storyline's the same, but all the characters are different. And that's just because of their own cultural differences. They're all explaining the exact same event.
Well, a flood happened.
Yeah.
I mean, there's pretty good evidence of that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's cool to see a lot of in my lifetime, I remember people saying, there's no way the flood story is true because there's not enough water on the planet, this, that, and the other thing. There's a lot of ways that we now know are possible, at least. Sometimes it's fringe people, but sometimes it's mainstream science that, yeah, the whole planet could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the pole shift happened.
Well, and that's the thing, like the pole shift happens and
Hollow Earth gets emptied out of all its water.
right, the next iteration of
It's like squeezing a sponge.
Yeah.
the next iteration of like Earth, if there is one, if we're like in the final seal, but like let's say we weren't, and so there's another iteration of Earth, then there's a pole shift, and America, which is, there's beautiful deserts, there's beautiful forests, beaches, pole shift happens, and now, like, the Middle East that's just, like, desert and hot is now, like, luscious. And then America is just, like, a barren desert. And then people come out here and they're like, oh, wow, there's really, like, cities that are built out of metal, like, weird. They must have worshipped squares or something.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know. Things just keep cycling through.
It's crazy. Well, I think, at least with like Christianity, long thought, and trying to shorten this as much as I can. I think when you think myopically at, like, you know, whether it be Christianity, whether it be like Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever, I think what I believe today, I believe I have all the truths that I need in order to have eternal glory and all the things that I want in my life. But I do believe that everyone on the earth, you know, during certain times experience certain things together, but in their own way, right? And when you don't have technology to share information like we do today, where like something happens in Russia and we can be like, oh, we all know about it because we can communicate that out. I think lack of technology and the ability to communicate those things, everyone has their own story, but that story is the same story. And I think that some, you know, whether it be religions or thoughts, think some have gaps and holes, and others, you know, maybe have different holes and gaps. And I just think that everyone experienced the same thing, especially with the flood. But I think the creation story, I think everyone's doing their best to try to explain what they know to have happened. You have stories that are told over time. And I think there's a lot that we could still unpack. On that topic. Ancient civilizations. We didn't even get into like aliens interacting.
I was like, we didn't even get into like, so you guys can research this on your own, but WikiLeaks dumped some emails of Hillary Clinton, and in there, they're referencing that they found the body of Gilgamesh, which was the Annunnaki's version of Noah. And then we go into the Middle East, and within like weeks of U.S. troops being there, this museum was broken into by looters, is what they say. But people that were there said the looters that went in, like, had earpieces on. They went in like teams of 4, and they took specific artifacts from like the Anunnaki and the Mesopotamia stuff. And it's still been lost.
Well, I've heard another version of that
so
was
go
the
in
way
there and find the stargates.
Yeah, with the scrolls, right?
Yeah.
They found the scrolls.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying they went after Gilgamesh's body, but I heard that
No.
too.
They went in and took all of like the
scrolls
artifacts.
that will dial in the stargates, right?
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay, I know nothing about this. I'm gonna have to research it myself.
You have to research it on your own.
It's honestly worth chatting about.
It's pretty sweet, but I've enjoyed my time here.
Yeah.
So what should we do? What should
No, you can't leave yet. You can't leave yet. That was close.
What should our connectors do before Fielding actually leaves?
Well, most importantly, like, subscribe, and follow our YouTube, right? Our goal is we want to do this full time, right? We want to just sit around and shoot the breeze and jump into some other stuff, but so like and subscribe, follow our YouTube, follow us on social media. We're always dropping our shorts, little snippets, and fun little parts of our podcast. Look
not shorts, the clothing. Shorts, the video shorts.
If it's summertime, though.
Yeah. I don't look good in shorts, but I love them.
So I'm dropping them.
Yeah. New episodes every Saturday. New episodes drop. So look for the episodes on Saturday. We'll post on social media when they're available. And make sure you follow us on all of our social media. We find different shorts and different little clips of interesting little tidbits from, out there in the ether of social media that we want to bring to you guys. So make sure you follow that. And then also, right now, I think we're at 175 subscribers. Let me double check. Here it comes. We'll double check. This is live, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you. Connect the Dots, 175 subscribers. So share a video, share a short, share something that you like from this episode with a friend, a family member, maybe even someone that hates conspiracy theories, just as a joke. You know, let's spread some love.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah. They're all wrong.
Which is just insane to think that, like, government's batting 1,000. They could tell them the truth.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not happening. But I'm just going to say, most importantly, remember, you're a champion. You, in there, right there. You're a champion. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And we appreciate everybody's support. We love you guys. Our connectors. We're just going to roll with different things until you guys tell us what you want us to call you.
Dot heads, connectors.
Connectors are cool because, like, it ties in, like, what we want them doing. Kind of like
want
a
you to
circuit.
connect.
Yeah.
It.
And then, like, dot heads, there's a lot of funny, like, merch you could do. Like, I'm with dot. Just like a circle and an arrow. I think it'd be funny.
Yeah. So, like and subscribe, follow us. We're not going anywhere. We're going to bring more content to you, and we're going to stick around until I don't think we'll ever be done connecting the dots. So,
There's going to be always new dots emerging. Yeah. So,
and then again, big thanks to Travis and Fielding being here. Couldn't do this without them. Love hearing their thoughts. It's always fun hanging out. And Fielding's got he's got a train to catch. So
see you later, boys.
Don't